Welcome back. March is Women's History Month, but history is currently being made from County Hall in Miami-Dade to the halls of the White House. In fact, one local female trailblazer has dubbed 2021 the Year of the Woman.
Kamala Davy Harris, I solemnly swear.
2 months before Kamala Harris took the oath of office as the first female vice president of the United States,
I do solemnly swear or affirm.
Daniela Levine Cava was sworn in as the first woman to serve as mayor of Miami-Dade County.
I am ready to confront this crisis and to lead our community through this difficult chapter.
Right around the same time last November, Miami-Dade College named Madeline Pumariega as the college's 5th president.
Well, almost, Madam President. Welcome back.
The first female to hold the title in the school's 60-year history.
I think 2021, without a doubt, at least in Miami-Dade County, seems to be the year of the woman, and certainly an exciting time for breaking and shattering those glass ceilings.
Beware of the falling glass in the sports world. More firsts for women. Kim Ng became the first female general manager in Major League Baseball when she took the helm of the Miami Marlins organization.
Having this high-profile position, where you're out in public more, and girls can see it. I mean, there's an adage, you can't be it if you can't see it. But I guess I would suggest to them now you can see it.
And last month, Sarah Thomas made Super Bowl history as the first woman to referee the big game.
To be a part of such a strong fraternity, and they let a little sister in, and I know there's going to be some more women following me. Just being around all of them and having that experience with the Super Bowl and ranking out #1 at your position, it's amazing.
Meanwhile, a record number of women are expected to serve in President Biden's cabinet. Janet Yellen has already been confirmed as the country's first female Treasury Secretary, and Jennifer Granholm now heads the U.S. Energy Department. Avril Haines is the new Director of National Intelligence, and Linda Thomas Greenfield is the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. A handful of other women are awaiting confirmation to cabinet or cabinet-level posts. But despite all that progress, the pandemic has especially impacted working women. Women held a majority of service jobs lost in the pandemic, and due to the demands of remote learning, 4 times as many women left the workforce this fall as men, with some 3 million women leaving their jobs in the last year.
Women are dropping out of the workforce. Is this a national emergency?
It is a national emergency. It generally is a national emergency.
President Biden recently announced the formation of the White House Gender Policy Council to help guide and coordinate government policy impacting women and girls across issues such as racial justice and economic equality. It's the successor to the Obama-era White House Council on Women and Girls. University of Miami law professor and Human Rights Clinic director Caroline Bettinger-Lopez was a member of that council under the Obama administration. I spoke to her about this latest iteration and how, even with all the progress women have made over the years, there's more work to be done.
Caroline Bettinger-Lopez, thank you so much for being with us. In an interview recently with CBS News, President Joe Biden said that women leaving the workforce right now has reached the level of a national emergency. How dire is the situation for women right now?
President Biden is absolutely correct. The National Women's Law Center documented that in December of 2020, just a few months ago, 100% of the job losses in this country were women. That's 100% of the job losses. So we have a crisis on our hands. The COVID pandemic has really revealed and surfaced pre-existing inequities, but it's also exacerbated those inequities. And so women always occupied a more vulnerable space in the workforce and in society generally. And when you have a pandemic upon a crisis, you see the ways in which those pre-existing crises get exacerbated.
Now, President Trump actually disbanded the Obama-era program called the White House Council on Women and Girls, a council of which you were a part of, but President Biden has brought back his own version of it, so to speak. Now it is the Gender Policy Council. How important is it that such a council even exists, and what is the mission of that council? What can it actually do?
It's absolutely critical that leadership in any administration in any country shows that gender equality is a priority. And when you put a Gender Policy Council or a White House Council on Women and Girls in the White House, you're showing that that is a national level priority. And President Biden, former Vice President Biden, my boss at the time, used to talk about how you show me your budget and I'll tell you your priorities. And so he has really emphasized that this Gender Policy Council is about bringing together the whole of government to think about progressive policies to support women and girls, and to reinforce and push forward on gender equality in this country, but not just policies, putting real money behind that. And so this policy council is intended to do that within the federal government, but also to interact with state and local governments as well as the private sector, to really kind of think about our national response to gender justice.
So much progress has already been made, but there's still a lot more room to grow, a lot more progress that needs to happen. We're still seeing discrimination, we're still seeing harassment, seeing violence against women, and of course, the wage gap. What can be done? What more needs to be done going forward to sort of balance out these inequities?
Well, our mayor, Danielle Levine-Cava, has been a lifelong champion for a lot of these issues. And she actually introduced legislation for Miami-Dade County to become the first county in the nation to adopt an international human rights convention called the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, this otherwise known as CEDAW for short. And so our county actually has an ordinance that implements the principles of this International Human Rights Convention at the local level. And it's really exciting. This this ordinance requires us to collect data about the status of women in Miami-Dade County in 3 areas: economic development, health and safety, and education. And there was a report published in 2016 that found, unsurprisingly, but still shocking, disparities amongst county men and women exist across almost all measures of economic equality. And so just a couple of data points from that. That women are more likely than men to have part-time jobs. The median income for female-headed households is 25% lower than that of male-headed households. Full-time female workers earn only 87 cents on the dollar for their male counterparts, and only 32% of board committee members are women. And so we need to get those numbers up. And for our local government, that needs to be a priority. We can't sit on this any longer. It needs to be elevated to, the level of crisis that President Biden has underscored. When women are not economically or physically healthy, our communities are not economically and physically healthy. And so as women's rights go, so go the rights and well-beings of our community.
In this month of celebrating the accomplishments and the contributions of women, so often we think about our daughters or little girls and making sure that they hear these stories of these women trailblazers. But how important is it also for little boys, young men, to hear these stories? I am a mother of both a son and a daughter. I want to make sure my son knows just as much about these incredible women in our community. What's your advice to parents raising sons about what they could do to better grasp the importance of women in our society?
Well, I too am a mother of a son and a daughter, and I agree that it is so important that we focus on dialogue and working from very young ages to address how gender norms get played out from preschool and then through the rest of life. So I think it's really important, and I'm speaking both as a parent but also as a women's rights advocate, that we toss aside the notion that boys will be boys, and that we plant on children at a very young age. And we think about how we can teach young children about respect for their own bodies and respect for other people's bodies. And that starts at a very young age. We also need to really underscore and provide models for men and for young boys and men for how they can kind of live a life that really is rooted in understanding and abiding by gender equality and honoring the women in their lives. And so I think we need to be lifting up male voices and male role models in that way, There's several organizations out there, like the Call to Men, for example, that really take this project on and say, it is our job as men to stand up and speak out and remake what masculinity should be.
We'll leave it at that. Caroline Bettinger-Lopez, thank you so much for your insight today.
Thanks for having me.
For more on Women's History Month, including stories on local women making a difference in our community, be sure to visit our website, cbsmiami.com. We'll be right back.